Very well. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Zoning Board of Appeals for tonight's, for the town of Wareham. It is November 13, 2019. It's 6:30 p.m. and we are at room 320, the Multi-Service Center, 48 Marion Road. I'm gonna call the meeting to order and make a roll call. Far right, Veronica Deveniz, our clerk, Jim Akabachi. Far left, Jake Morrison, Attorney Jen Kendrick, Mr. Walter Cruz, and our town planner, Kim Buckland, myself, the chair, Nazi Al-Khalasi. We have some preliminary business to do. Just take a few minutes, the minutes. Okay, we have October 19, 2019, and October 23rd, 2019 minutes.
We're at, oh,
I wasn't here.
okay. Sign here, October 23rd. Let's do October 29th for October 9th first.
Okay, who had a chance to look at October 9? Jake, minutes, October 9, did you have a chance to look at them?
Yes.
Jen?
I wasn't here, so.
Oh, okay. Walter?
No, I didn't.
Veronica?
Have you seen these? No,
Yeah, I
October
haven't.
9th? You haven't read them?
It's the first time I've seen
How
it.
about the 23rd? Okay, let's table this for the end. Okay, we start with the public hearing, 44-19, Albert and Lori Lawrence, 56 West Central Ave, or for Second Street, special permit or variance. Please have a seat.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Here you go.
I hand those down. The Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing on November 13th, 2019, at 6:30 p.m. in room 320 of the Wareham Multi-Service Center, 48 Marion Road, Wareham, Mass. 02571, to consider petition number 4419 for a special permit or a variance from the requirements of Article 13, Section 1355, Section 1356, and in Table 622 of the Wareham zoning bylaws, to Albert and Lori Lawrence of 4 Forest Edge Road, Southeastern Mass, to tear down 2 adjoining dwellings and replace with 1 single-family dwelling at 56 West Central Avenue 4, 2nd Street, Wareham, Mass. Assessors Map 1, Lot 9A, 9B, in the OV2 zoning district.
Okay, name and address, please, for the record.
Mr. Chairman, my name is Dennis Connery. I'm appearing in behalf of the petitioner, Alan and Lori Lawrence, and I'm accompanied today by George Kakadis, who's the architect on the project.
Okay. So you want to let us know what you guys doing?
I'd love to.
Okay. Let's do it.
Al and Lori Lawrence are current owners of 2 adjacent houses located at the corner of 56 West Central Avenue and 2nd Street in Onset. The Lawrences now request a special permit to allow them to demolish 2 existing dwellings and construct a single one-family home that will better accommodate themselves, their children, and their grandchildren. Al and Lori Lawrence now reside at Forest Edge Road, Southeastern. Lori's grandmother, Hazel Buchanan, bought the house at 56 West Central Avenue in 1956, and Lori grew up spending much of her summers at her grandmother's house at 56 West Central Avenue as a child. Lori, who grew up in Brockton, spent weekends and summer vacations at her grandmother's house. After the Lawrences were married, they and their 2 children spent a great deal of time at their grandmother's house. The Lawrences now have 2 grandchildren, ages 5 and 2, who are frequent visitors. Lori's now retired and resides most of the summer in the house at 56 West Central Avenue. Initially, the Lawrences investigated the possibility of enlarging or combining the 2 adjacent properties at 56 West Central and 4 2nd Street. However, they learned that in order to substantially improve or combine the houses, they would be required to bring the existing house up to code and raise the houses to an elevation of 22 feet, all of which made no economic or aesthetic sense. This resulted in the Lawrences choosing instead to request permission of this board to demolish the 2 existing structures, which would be replaced by a single residence that'll be suitable to allow them to retire to Onset and accommodate their growing family. The two adjacent lots at 56 West Central and 4 Second Street together contain 3,515 square feet. The existing houses on the site total 1,834 square feet, which amounts to approximately 52% building coverage. The proposed new single-family home would measure 1,680 square feet, amounting to a building coverage of 47%, which would be an improvement of approximately 5%. Impervious coverage of the two current houses amounts to 1,135.5 and 1,093.5 square feet, or a total of 2,200 square feet for the two lots, which amounts to a 64.4% impervious coverage. The proposed house only has 1,900 square feet, amounting to impervious coverage of 54%, which results in an approximately 10% improvement on the impervious coverage. The two existing houses are dimensionally non-conforming with respect to minimum lot size, side setback, rear setback, building coverage, and impervious structure. The proposed single-family dwelling will also be dimensionally non-conforming to the current zoning bylaw. However, the proposed dwelling will be less dimensionally non-conforming than the two existing single-family dwellings as shown on the existing and proposed site plans. The zoning bylaw, section 1355, authorizes the Zoning Board of Appeals to issue a special permit to allow the owner to demolish and replace an existing non-conforming structure on the same site, provided the Zoning Board of Appeals determines, number one, the replacement structure will not be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than the existing structure. Number two, the replacement of the structure will not cause or contribute to any undue nuisance, hazard, or congestion in the neighborhood, zoning district, or town. Number three, the replacement structure will not intensify any of the following existing nonconformities: building coverage, impervious coverage, or setback encroachment. And number four, the replacement structure will not create any new nonconformities. In recent years, numerous original small homes in the immediate area have been demolished and replaced by more substantial residences, many of which appear to be comparable in size to the proposed structure, all of which were constructed without having a detrimental effect on the neighborhood and without substantially altering the character of the neighborhood. Al and Lori Lawrence maintain that the replacement of these two small houses with a single new dwelling will not be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than the existing structures, and that the replacement of the two small houses will not cause or contribute to any undue nuisance, hazard, or congestion in the neighborhood, the zoning district, or the town. The new home will not cause any new nonconformities, and therefore the board is hereby requested to issue a special permit to allow the demolition of the two existing houses and the construction of a single house as shown on the plans that have been filed with the board. I do have an additional submission that I would like to make at this time to the board of some photographs of the area, and I have three sets of photographs. You guys can share.
Any of these houses, the one that are getting torn down?
The front one, the first house on photograph number one, is the house at 56 West Central, which is being proposed to be torn down. The second picture is the house at 4 Second Street, which is owned by the Lawrences as well, and is also being proposed to be torn down. The third picture is another picture from a different angle of those two houses. The house at 56 West Central, and then to the left is the house down on 4 Second Street. The fourth picture shows, it looks down Second Street. And the first house on the right is 56 West Central, which is going to be demolished. The second house is number 4 Second Street, which is also proposed to be demolished. The next picture, picture number 5, just shows 56 West Central and 4 Second Street from a different angle. Picture number 6 shows it from the bottom of the hill at 6 Second Street, and you can see the house at 56 West Central up to the right. So these two houses don't match up aesthetically very well with each other. I would propose. Picture number 7 shows the picture that would be looking from the beach up.
Beach.
I was standing next to the fence at the beach when I took that picture, and that shows the two houses that are going to be replaced, or we're seeking permission to be replaced. The last 3 pictures show residences in the neighborhood, which I submit are, number 8 is the house at 30 West Central, which is a couple houses down from, or several houses down from 56 West Central, which, as you can see, is a very substantial house that has been rebuilt. Picture number 9 shows a house across the street, which is also a new house. It's been rebuilt, a very substantial house. Number 10 is a house that's directly across the street from 56 West Central. And as you can see, it's a very large, substantial, tastefully designed house. And number 11 is a house that's also on West Central, which demonstrates that there are some very large structures that have been built on the property. Now, at this point, I'd like to turn it over to our architect, George Kakadis, so he can explain. You all have plans of the house in front of you, and he can explain what he designed and why he designed it, and answer any questions that the board may have about the details.
Good evening, members of the board.
Just the last name as well for the records, please.
Gakitas.
All right. Thank you. Go ahead.
One of the first things we did was we took the existing footprint on West Central Street and moved the new house back 4 feet. We left that edge and put a porch to kind of break down the mass of that building from West Central. If you look at the first picture in the package, you can see the existing house is right on the line. The next substantial move we did, oh, by the way, we are in the velocity zone, so we're at V22, and so the structure of, the bottom of the structure has to be 2 feet above that mark, which puts us about 30 inches above the existing floor height of the house in the picture, which is already, 18.
You need to be at 24 living space or
Yeah,
the bottom
yeah,
of the joist?
bottom of structure,
Bottom joist.
yeah, and then you have the floor thickness as well.
So you have to do piers, or you just?
Breakaways.
you do piers?
We're doing piers. Piles were an option, but pretty tight quarters in there.
Right.
So, So besides moving the house back from West Central, we've also moved it away from Second Street. And it's in kind of a little bit of an L configuration, but the facade on Second Ave is now further away. So when you look at picture 7, you'll see that the main house right here is essentially kind of the edge we're keeping, and we're removing this piece, which is right on the corner.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's essentially, we've you know, tried to create more of a frontscape to the two sides of the street, because we're in a corner lot. And we're, the lowest part of the site, which is, we took that point and we went up 34 feet 9 inches, and that would be to the top railing of the new structure. But
Yeah.
it's basically based on average grade, so we probably could go up 18 inches more if we wanted to, but we just took the worst-case scenario and designed it from that. But it was a little bit of a sandwich, because we had to be up and down.
Yeah.
So-
What's the height, 35 feet there, right?
34 feet 9 inches to the top of the railing, but then there's a cupola over here.
The cupolas are excluded,
It's excluded from zoning.
chimneys, cupolas. Yes.
Let me ask you, what's existing height now?
If it's not.
We're about maybe 5 feet higher than the existing house, maybe a little less.
I'm gonna pass it to the board for questions. Veronica?
Those were basically my questions, was the height changes that were going to be made, and then what some of the houses around it, which you presented for the heights for the other houses, and
Yeah, the house directly across the street, which is the, I think it's page
10 maybe.
10, maybe. Hold on. Yeah. And this is probably the most substantial house. It's essentially a 2.5-story structure. Again, you know, the half has to be less than 50% of the floor below it, so that's fine. So that height is, I mean, I haven't measured it, but I would say that's 35 feet on a flat site, or, you know, 34.9 on a sloped site, you know, being less higher on 56 West Central.
Jimmy?
I'm all set.
Jake?
No questions.
Jen?
I don't have any questions.
Walter?
No, I don't have any questions.
Is there anyone in the audience want to speak in favor of this project? In favor? Yes, okay. Come forward, please.
Peter Russell.
Come just to the mic, so it's on record, please.
How are you?
Peter Russell, my wife and I
And the
own,
address, your address, please. Your address.
I was just going to say, 43 South Boulevard, which is a house going towards the water that borders the property in question.
This one right there.
Okay.
My,
The gentleman with you?
Across the street.
Lou Ferretti, 41 South Boulevard,
Okay, let's,
across the street from
all right, let's
Second
see gentleman first, he's concerned. Go ahead.
my concern is one of height and distance to my property of the new structure. And I don't know if that was answered.
Could we see the pictures?
Let me ask you, something. Are you in South Boulevard?
Yes.
Okay, you the house in front, okay. Do you want to show him the site plan, please?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I did not address the site plan, but it shows the existing structures in the shaded-out area. And the current setback,
Where's Second Street?
Second Street is right here.
Okay, that's Second Street.
Right, so your house is down here. And the current setback from the house next door is 2.7 feet.
Right,
We're going to draw off of that, so now the setback for the proposed structure is going to be
0.9.
11.9, so it's quite a bit further away from,
Excuse me,
from the neighbor's
excuse me,
house.
gentlemen. It has to stay on record, so one at a time, because the girl has to type it, the secretary, so we can't whisper. It's gotta stay on record, and one at a time. All right, so did he answer your question? Your question?
Question, in terms of proximity to our lot, yes, 11 feet versus
2.7 feet.
2.7.
Second question being height, because the current structure that's there is a one-story structure. The new one, as I understand it, would be at least two stories.
But there's two structures, one of them's 3-story.
Not the one that's closest to our property, the one that
Okay.
I'm concerned about and is going away.
What, could I answer?
Yeah, go ahead.
What we've done is we've created a much larger buffer between the property line. All of this is now gone, and that's a first-story deck. So the actual structure is even further back. The back corner is the only, this back corner is the only location where it's the 34.9, or less than that, it's like 32, because the railing is back here on the house. So this is
So the 11 feet is where to where?
from here to here, as opposed to 2 feet. So all this is gone, that structure that's gone, and right here is deck, which is a flat, you know, so there's no massing to that. So the main part of the house is set back from you.
This is a ground deck.
Sir, just one at a time, please. We're not allowed to, like, one at a time.
This is the first floor deck, from the front of the house all the way through. So that would be, you know, 30 inches, or 24 inches roughly, higher than the existing floor there now. So
Sir, now, if you want to ask questions?
What is the height of this section?
that's about 33 feet to the ridge.
Okay, that'll be a two-story
Yes,
construction,
with a, you know, flood space underneath it.
right. So this is the,
Well, I'm not thrilled with the fact that it's higher, but I am happy with the fact that it's 11 feet. It's, what,
Right.
9 feet?
Now, you gotta keep in mind, instead of 2 feet setback, they 12 feet setback almost now. Also, you towards the water, right?
Correct.
So they're behind you, it's not like they're blocking you,
No, that's not the issue, correct.
okay? So that answer your questions,
It does.
sir?
question,
Yeah,
are these building specifications according to the new FEMA map?
yes, that's why they have to elevate it to
Does
2024.
the town ever question those new FEMA maps because they were not accurate?
Believe me, they have to go by the rules. He can't bypass it. He will never get insurance. They will never be able to get insurance. Once they get a certificate of elevation, if it's not right, nobody will insure them. So shame on them if they make it wrong.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but wouldn't these heights be checked during construction?
Yeah, they'll have an as-built when they do the
Yeah.
foundation. The engineer would do an as-built, and they bring it to the commissioner, and he won't give them the permit if it's perfectly at 24, the bottom of the structure. The elevation's 22. You have to be 2 feet plus the elevation. The flood elevations, the bottom of the structure, so the bottom of the joist has to be at 24. The FEMA uses 2 feet buffer, safety buffer. All right? And of course, they have blow panels, and they have blow panels, I'm sure, and all these things to pass the regulation, I'm sure. That good?
Yes.
Thanks for your comments. Thank you very much. Anyone else want to speak in favor?
The lady back there.
Yes, come forward. Name and address for the records.
My name is Denise Hickson, and I own property at number 20 Second Street in Onset.
22nd.
Yep.
Do you know what's your lot and map?
I'm sorry?
Do you know what's your lot number?
I don't.
22nd.
I'm not an immediate abutter. I just.
Ah, okay, you further down. You further,
I've spent every summer of my life like Lori in Onset.
okay, but you're not towards the water, you're towards
I'm
the
on
other
the other
side.
side.
Okay, so what's your question, ma'am?
My question is, what are the setbacks on the other side? So on the side between 56 West Central and if you're facing West Central, it would be on the left side.
Our civil engineer is not here right now, but it's calculated kind of by the existing structures that are there, and they create a setback based on that. It's the old village, I think that's how they do it.
It's 5.6 feet.
What, the current one is 5.6?
No, the current is, it's roughly, one house, it's about, it looks to me about,
4.5.
to West
Yep,
Central.
the existing 4.5.
3.8, I see.
That is based on the existing houses in their existing elevations to the street. So we're gonna make it tougher for the next person to build, because we're set back more, because it's an average.
So you're averaging the two structures. and
All the
you're-
structures on the same block, it's an average, of the whole street.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So let me make sure I'm clear on this. Your setback from the house at, what is it, 54 West Central, is the average of the block
Of 5 houses.
of 5 houses?
In either
That's
direction.
the rules, yeah. In
Okay.
either direction, yeah.
Okay, and the other point I just have a question on is, you mentioned that you're pulling the house at 56 West Central back 4 feet, and you're putting a porch on. Is that porch going to be in that 4 feet, or is
It's
it-
gonna be on, where the existing exterior wall is now.
Okay,
So
so it's really
we're-
not coming back to,
No,
from the
the
street?
house is, but then you read the house's mass, the deck and
Right.
the roof is used to break down the mass even further.
The site,
Yeah, I wasn't.
the site plan shows it set back further than the existing wall.
It's a little bit further than the existing setback.
Yep, correct.
In West Central, you're 1 feet better, and on Second Street, about 8 feet better.
Okay,
Okay, and in the water, towards the coastal bank, you're talking about 7 feet better,
okay.
okay? And instead of 2 families, 2 houses, they don't want.
Yeah, I understand that. I
And-
understand that.
Two-car garage, so that up the street.
The garage faces West Central,
No, second.
it faces Second Street.
Yeah.
So okay,
The garage is under,
underneath the whole thing.
yeah.
So the little house in the back right now is very low, it's 1 story.
Gonna go,
But it's gonna go up 22 feet.
no, it's not 22, the elevation
Gotta
right
go in a
now is,
dumpster.
I know the house existing is going in the
the elevation
Both of
right
them.
now, it's between 18 and 20. So the house height's gonna be, the floor is 24.
the
So
floor.
you're looking about the existing grade, about 6 feet, 7 feet higher.
Okay,
And they probably added a foot for the garage to have 8 feet garage.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
May I make just a general statement?
Sure.
About the Village of Onset?
Sure, you
And the
can.
heights of the
Because you're on
buildings.
TV now, it's a good time.
Because the neighborhood, even though there have been some houses that have been torn down and rebuilt to more substantial structures, 2 to 3 story structures, most of that neighborhood is predominantly 1.5 story homes.
Correct.
They're very close together, and I always have concerns about heights of the new buildings because they change the character of the village. They change the light for the neighbors, just sunlight. Next to me, there's a project going on that is obliterating my western sunlight. I'm gonna have to replant my garden on that side. So I think my request is that you take the height into consideration when you review these projects.
I do understand we don't make the law, the
know you
rules, but however, you could put it in a warrant, if you guys can make a committee and bring it to the selectmen and bring it to the planning board to reduce the height to 25 feet. But if it's 35, we have to go by the rules. We can't just tell them you can't.
I
You
understand.
understand? But that's an excellent idea. I do understand now we have high houses and most of the neighborhood is low with the house, the roofs. Maybe you bring it up to the planning board for next town meeting and put it on the warrant, maybe it passes.
Okay.
I mean, you plead your case to the people and before the body met, and then you get your wish. I
Okay.
totally understand your idea, though.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for
And
coming.
thank you for sharing the information on the project.
That's good.
Thanks.
This guy decided to do the same.
All right, anyone else want to speak in favor?
You're gonna be the first one.
Against? Okay, I hear none. Do you want to add anything, sir, Counselor?
No, I think
You
the
good?
board knows what we're doing.
Make a motion to close the
No, no,
public hearing.
1 second.
Oh, he's
Just
not-
before you close the hearing, one of the things that would help clean up the assessor's records is if the two lots were combined together. So if a perimeter plan were to be filed and,
Yeah, that's what we expect to do if we go forward with the project.
good, thank you.
I don't think you could erase the middle line.
Yeah, you can,
You can?
yeah. Just file a perimeter plan, A&R.
But it doesn't confirm.
I'm
with the
missing,
zoning.
I'm missing the point.
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
You can do an A&R without having it conform to zoning.
Try.
I'm missing the point.
There's
Instead of
a
having
lot
two
line.
tax bill, he wants.
There's two lots there now, there's a lot line in the middle,
Combine 'em.
which essentially what happens is there's a variance of setback against that line if it's existing there.
But it's gonna become one lot to be built, to have, you know,
Yeah, and what they do is they file it on the land records so that it shows a perimeter of one lot at that location, eliminating the lot line in the middle.
If you could do it, it'd be great.
okay.
All right, anyone else want to add anything? I hear none, let's move to close.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Aye.
Oppose, abstain. Okay, the first thing we gotta talk about, if the board feel it's not substantially detrimental for the neighborhood, and we'll decide if it's a special permit or a variance. So we give them a release on 1355, I believe. Section 1355, so what's the
I
wishes?
submit it is not more detrimental to the neighborhood, and it should therefore be a special permit.
Okay, and any discussion on that? I hear none, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose, abstain, so it's 500. Now what's the wishes?
Motion to grant as proposed, per plans presented. Standard conditions to apply.
Any discussion on the motion? I hear none, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Jake, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, oppose, abstain, 500, carries. Thank you very much.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, we have a continued public hearing, 20-19, Coastal Cultivators.
They're requesting a continuance. They sent a letter, there's a letter in our folder.
Yeah?
I'm gonna go out and buy the house in front. How much you wanna pay me to get rid of it?
All right.
I'm getting ready to put up a top 3-story.
Thank you, sir.
Come back and say something
Yep.
now.
People forget about that. It's actually 3 stories, 1 non-usable. Because you got the breakaway walls. Just
All right, Coastal Cultivators.
park a car.
You want to take it outside, ma'am? Excuse me. Want to take it outside, please?
But they're doing it everywhere. The neighborhoods on the water. So in other words, when the water hits them, they'll push in to let the water pass through so you don't get that
All right,
surge.
Coastal Cultivars?
They may
Cultivars.
break away.
Cultivars. On Patterson Brook, they asking, requesting continuous for December 11.
Piers.
So what's the wishes?
Yeah, no.
December 11th.
You would hope they
Yep.
would.
We'll go with this.
Motion to continue to December 11th.
Okay, we have a motion to continue Coastal 20-19 to the 11, December 11 by Jim. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so it's December 11, 2019. And that is Coastal. Cultivars, I like that name.
If you would,
Okay, so that's good. All right, okay, we gotta discuss the application fees and stuff.
Yeah, do you want to,
Let's do the fee, what do you think we should
We
talk
got a
about?
oh,
presentation.
I can hand this out, this should be quick.
Save it.
Yeah, let's do this quick, Jim, and we'll get back to you. All right, guys, remember last time we talked about the fees?
No, but I believe you.
Jan and Jake.
I wasn't, I don't think I
You
was
had a
here.
lot to say, Jim. How can you not remember?
I wasn't here. I wasn't even here.
Oh, these
Right
are the
here?
new fees?
Yeah, new fee schedule.
Omnibus side, non-sports.
This is a proposal that I talked about the last meeting and put together a list of changes in the application fees in terms of what happens when you have a small change such as a porch deck or pool. It's only $50. And this is compared to $300 right now. An addition, an accessory building or a garage, which is attached or detached, would be $100. Reconstruction or replacement of a dwelling would be $250, and a new home or duplex would be $300. This would vary from a multifamily application, which has more than 2 units, more than a duplex, which would be $300 plus $10 for every unit over 2. Right now, that fee is $50 for every unit over 2. Legal ads remains the same. The abutters notices remain the same because they are set by others. But the changes are in commercial application fees would be, right now it's $750 for all applications and commercial. And what I've suggested is that if it's less than 10,000 square feet in gross floor area, there's only $350. And if it's above 10,000 square feet, then it goes to $750.
I have some comment. I think commercial, we shouldn't change it. I do understand for homeowners, it's steep when you do for a deck or a pool, $300, but for commercial, I think it should stay under 10,000 square feet. That's my opinion anyway, $750. Also, when you're doing multifamily, you're doing 50 apartments. I mean, I'm a builder. I mean, it should stay $50. That's
Yeah, I
a
agree with
business.
you on that.
It's not a homeowner who has hardship. So I think that should stay the way it is, 50.
Which one?
I think the commercial and 350, it should stay at 750. Don't change it under
So what
10,000.
we have is no distinction between gross floor area. For any commercial application fee, it would be $750 is what he's saying.
Yeah, leave it. Yep.
And
It's
for-
750 right now, right?
Right, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, what if we just change the square footage? I think 10,000 is pretty big, but I think if you have a very small business, a lot smaller than 10,000, but I think 750 is steep for some small businesses trying to get started.
No,
No,
I don't
not
believe
really.
so.
10,000, you
because-
think so?
10,000, less than 10,000, 10,000 is a lot. I think if we were like less than, say, 1,500 square feet is 350, then, and then everybody else, you know, because you're talking probably about a smaller business, is all I'm thinking, but.
I do understand, but the whole idea that came, let me speak, please. The whole idea when it came forward first, for people to do small shed, small pool, small fence, or whatever, small addition, it's a hardship. Now you're handing it to commercial, there's no need, I mean, the commercial, I mean, they're gonna build and make money, which is good for them. I don't think we should minimize the fee. That's my opinion. I mean, you could throw it at everyone. The single, I understand, but everything else, especially apartment buildings, I don't believe it should be like this. I mean, if you do 100 unit, why should we deduct $4,000?
Yeah.
I agree about the multifamily. I think there definitely needs to be more than $10. I was going to say.
What you'll notice is if you do it that way, the cost per square foot is more in multifamily than it is in a commercial application. You're only, potentially.
Yeah. However, commercial does not put stress on the town, on the services. Multifamily does put stress, so it should be a little bit more. That's my opinion anyway.
Well, multifamily is commercial.
Right.
We
Exactly.
distinguish it here in the filing fees application.
And so, I think what Ken's trying to say is there's a chance that somebody doing a three-family could get away with $310,
$320
$320
versus $400.
400.
versus $400. Well,
The first one is
I like,
300 each.
I like the thought, but maybe we just need to tweak it a little bit. Maybe let's
Okay.
start the 300 a little higher.
I would double everything.
Or double everything?
400 per unit, that's what they're charging, right? So if I was to do a
I don't know about making the
multifamily.
initial here, because a multifamily could just be two, right?
Right.
Yeah, but
So,
what if you do
I don't know about-
100?
No, I think two is
We
is
distinguish.
not
single-
commercial.
Single.
We do.
Single and duplex
Between,
are wrapped together,
okay.
clumped together and.
So
it's three and
multi
up.
would be three.
Three and up to get
Three
it,
and up become multi.
becomes commercial.
I like Nazi's suggestions.
I mean, it affects me, and I mean, I'm fine with it, so.
So I would say keep everything it is except the residential one and duplex.
What about Jake's suggestion about doubling the commercial
Lower my
fee?
bids.
I'm all for it.
Yeah, we count on all of that.
To come to the, is this the fee to come in front of the zoning board?
Yeah, the opposite side of it. We make
You
it
heard me?
count.
Nas is like, I'm not opening any new businesses, double it.
Well,
No.
I think 750 is good.
I'm still uncomfortable with the, on the commercial, I see where he's going with the attempted 350. And I think that there's plenty of wannabe small businesses that get to the town hall and get a big fat no. And it's gonna cost them $750 to come talk to us.
I mean,
A gal
Yeah,
that wants to rent a 300 square foot room and groom dogs
Yeah.
gets a no.
okay,
and
then
she
where
has
do you draw the line? Because up to 10 grand, up to 10,000
Well,
square feet.
10,000 square feet seems big to me. I'm with Veronica on that. I'm just saying there might be.
2,000,
Well, my office ain't 10,000 square feet, I can tell you that.
you know?
My office is about 300 square feet.
In all honesty, some businesses that are small make more money than bigger building
They
businesses,
just,
so.
exactly,
So
True.
it's kind of hard to tell.
just a satellite, just
Right.
But
blinks
if you,
there.
I think if you were to look, though, in general,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know, I mean, like real estate
SBA
offices
considers
don't have-
anything under 500,000 non-existent. Small business starts at 500,000, $500,000 and goes up.
I mean, you know,
You know,
it's
but,
it's with,
so,
you know, 750 a lot for some of these new dentist offices that.
no, it's
you know what
for
I mean?
dentists, no.
I mean, do we categorize it?
No, it's too
Do you know what I
much.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
but I do think over 10,000, I like Ken's idea, because I think we should encourage businesses to,
The little mum and
Well,
pop
we
is
are,
what I'm
because
thinking.
business is on the boom in Wareham right now, so this fee is not affecting the commercial guys, because we're putting, that bid, you're coming in with that. So if you tell me it's 1,000 and I'm doing 400 units, then I gotta give you, whatever, $400,000 or $4,000. The town's getting $4,000. The bid, it's gonna go on. You're gonna do you're not gonna say, okay, let's move these 400 units somewhere else.
One example I have that's going to be coming before you is a small storage building for a landscape business. And it's maybe 1,200 square feet for the storage area that has to come before you because of its location in relationship to setbacks. Does that require 750?
Yeah, I mean, he's doing the office 1,200, but his yard, I'm sure it's huge with the mulch and all that, right? And the stones and stuff.
Or is he renting it to somebody else as a
This
separate
is way
business?
different between him and the lady who grooms a dog, 300 square feet office. That's, of course, you should spend 750. I mean, that's $300,000-$400,000 business. You don't spend 750 to come before the board?
I understand, I still am trying to champion the little guy, a little girl, a little
But how do you
person.
define that?
How do you-
You know,
Certainly not
that's what we're talking
10,000,
about. You
certainly not
define it by
10,000.
how big
Well,
their business is
let
gonna
me
be.
see your taxes.
How big, you know, what their,
You could go by square foot of the lot,
Yeah.
I mean,
not the building, the
you
lot.
know. I don't know.
I think it should be discussed, maybe we can figure out what to base it
I
on.
do get your point, but I still don't think that any of these fees are by any way exorbitant or anything outside the realm of reason. I compared to other towns, you would know more about in comparison to other towns.
Some towns, depending on how the demographics, the fees are substantially more.
Substantially, right. I mean, if I plan on opening a business, if I have a legitimate and reasonable hope of opening a business, I can spend $750.
In
Do
a
you know what I
minute,
mean?
in a minute.
Okay.
All right, so let's
So
decide.
you want to strike the 10,350 completely? Is that what everybody's saying?
I mean,
That's what everybody's,
I would love to see that, but honestly, being a contractor, I'd leave it where it's at, I know, because,
okay, so
Change
what what do I hear everyone
I'd leave
saying?
it at where it's at, the
Seven-
750,
you'd leave
yeah,
the 750.
because
Yeah, that's what
I'm
I'm
thinking
saying.
Jen,
anything.
so we just change residential fees and keep the commercial the way it is? That's
Yeah,
what
leave
everybody...
commercial, yep,
Commercial and multifamily.
yeah.
I've already said what I think, and I'm outnumbered, so it doesn't matter. You know, I mean, that's why we have 5 people.
Veronica,
I'm
you
good
got
with
Veronica
that.
on your side.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, I'm not, that's right.
To do this properly, you should hold,
Yeah, it can be the
We'll
full
be
house
here, we'll
any day.
stay with them.
We should make a motion and vote on it?
if you're intending to change the rules and regulations, you should have a public hearing.
So we're
Okay,
not gonna-
let's set it for public hearing for next time.
Are we the actual rule makers on this, or are we
Yes,
just
you are.
being asked for an
We're actually,
opinion?
we're
Oh,
writing
you
the
were
law.
actually making the rules in this case.
Oh, okay. I just
Kind of
thought you
like
were
they
asking
did a
for
long
our
time ago when
opinion.
they wrote the rules for us. We're the founding fathers right now.
All right, let's set it for public hearing for next time. How's that?
That's fine.
All right,
All right, very well. All in favor?
aye.
Okay.
Aye. Okay, very well. Okay, we have Mr.
Should've did that at the beginning.
Jim Swanson, right?
Richard
You
Swenson.
know?
Richard Swanson?
Swenson.
Mr. Swanson, Richard Swanson, want to come forward, please?
I never get my hopes up.
Glad I got you on a...
Nope.
All right, just, Richard, if you just say your name for the record and turn the mic to you.
Comes away if we have to do it.
Everybody, please, Richard has an idea for the town, and he'd like to throw it at us, see what you guys think. Richard, just flip the mic towards you so he could have it on record. Oh, yeah, you want to sit over there? You fine? Okay.
Should we turn the lights off and get popcorn, or?
I might fall off.
Fall off, what do you mean?
Yeah, I might fall asleep if we turn
Can't turn the
the
lights
lights
off, is that what you
The
said?
wagon, I fell over that.
I'm on the ground.
off. Might help, I guess.
The one over the screen would help, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
that would
better.
help.
Thank
Yeah, thanks.
Congress, huh?
Can you hear me? Okay. My name's Richard Swenson. I am a member of the Redevelopment Authority, and I'm an associate member on the Planning Board. And I am here tonight to talk to you about an idea that I'm driving. It's my initiative. The Planning Board has reviewed and commented on this, and they're behind me. And I'm on a plan right now to share this with some of the significant boards in town, and I'll talk to that. Tonight's your turn as the Zoning Board of Appeals. So, with that said, I'm going to talk about what I'm calling the Wareham Congress right now. I'm not married to that name, but for now, that's what we're going to
For
call
lack
it.
of a better name, that's the name.
So what I'm going to talk about tonight is what is a Congress, what is a Wareham Congress, and why I think we should have one, how I'm proposing that we integrate this Congress with the Wareham Master Plan, what a meeting agenda would look like, what I think the keys to success are going to be, and the next steps on this process. So, first of all, there's been some debate about the name I've picked. That's why I say I'm not married to it. But for now, I just want people to know that Congress, in my context, is a formal meeting or assembly of representatives for the discussion, arrangement, or promotion of some matter of common interest. And what I'm talking about in a Wareham Congress is the forum for all the Wareham agencies. And when I say agency, I'm talking about a board, a commission, an authority, or whatever. It would be chaired by the planning board, representation from all the town agencies. It'd be a quarterly meeting, could be bi-monthly, it could be monthly. I'm just talking quarterly right now. But it would be a public meeting under open meeting law guidance. And the mission of this Wareham Congress is to get agencies, what my term again for commissions, authorities, boards, et cetera, aligned to the Wareham master plan. The master plan and this Congress go hand in hand, and I'll talk to that a little bit more. And to speak of it a little bit more, the master plan has right now in its draft form 57 different strategies, and these strategies are really suggestions or tasks that the master plan suggests that the town of Wareham execute on. There's 57 of them, 5 of them are duplicate in different categories, so there's 52 unique ones. And it's important, I want you to keep that in your mind, there's 52 suggested actions that the master plan talks about Wareham executing. Now, if we had this Congress, we would enable ourselves to, one, ensure alignment across all the different agencies. One of the reasons I got on the planning board and in the interviewing process I went through to get on the planning board, I talked about the fact that I had been to a lot of different agency meetings and I saw a lot of different examples of disconnect. The ZBA and the planning board is a good example. The redevelopment authority and the planning board is a good example. I mean, you all see it. The Conservation Commission. Oh, by the way, to be fair, I have presented this to all the members of the Redevelopment Authority, the Board of Selectmen, and the Conservation Commission so far. I'm doing the Finance Committee later this month. We need to get aligned. We need to get all on the same page, going in the same direction. I don't think we're there, and that's my opinion and my opinion only. But this Congress could then establish a forum for executing some of these, I hate to use a number, 52 tasks that are outlined in the master plan. And I've said this to Ken's heard this 1,000 times from me. If I can get 3 of them prioritized at the top of the list, and I can get sponsors on this from this Wareham Congress to say we're going to go execute those 3, not 52, but 3 of them, I think that we would be doing the town of Wareham a great service, and we'd be able to execute some of these things that right now are sitting out there as pretty common goals against all the boards, but there's no organization to get there. And that's why I say we could provide a mechanism for the town agencies to work together on common goals. So to try to visualize this, does anyone know how many agencies we have in town? Boards, commissions, authorities, whatnot? These are all I've found so far. There's 28 of them. I've put the Redevelopment Authority, the Planning Board, the Board of Appeals, the Finance Committee, the Conservation Committee, and the Board of Selectmen on an inner ring. I've got 22 other agencies on the outer ring, and I'm trying to show that if we can get aligned against a small subset of the 52 tasks outlined in that master plan, we might be able to make some progress and do some things really, really good for the town.
So, are you suggesting that all those boards would meet at this quarterly meeting?
Yes.
At least be invited?
Yes. I'm glad you said it that way, at least be invited. I would invite a representative from every board.
So not the entire board, but...
A representative.
But Richard, if I may, the
Sure.
master plan, Jen, aren't you supposed to attend meetings with the master plan? Didn't we pick you like a couple of years ago? This committee for Wareham future development or something?
That was a 3-meeting thing that
She didn't get the memo.
and ended.
Can I provide some color there, Nazi?
Something with the wetland bylaws?
No,
something with
that's
zoning
sound different. Go ahead,
bylaws?
Richard.
So, a little background on the master plan. The master plan was done by Serped at the request of the town, and they did a nice job. It's almost a 100-page document. It was completed about 18 months ago, and a final version was presented to Ken in the planning department, and it has yet to be approved by the planning board, which has sole responsibility for approval. There's a lot of debate going on about should town meeting approve it, but And I think it needs to be shared at town meeting and maybe put up as a referendum or something like that. But in terms of officially having a master plan in place, it's responsibility of the planning board. And I've been pretty stiff on, or not, I've been pretty adamant about making sure people especially on the planning board, know that that's their responsibility to do.
Are you saying the planning board can change about 100 things, master plan for the town? It shouldn't be the town, the people? I mean, they could present it, the people should vote on it, not the planning board. This is a major change, you're making, letting 5 people decide on it, that should be for the people to decide.
Had this debate with a lot of people, and it's Mass General law that the planning board owns it.
And it is, if that's the case, if the law, I mean, we don't make the rules about it. It makes sense that the people would change the rules.
I guess. I mean, I'm not married to the fact that the planning board owns it, but all I know is that the current law is that's how it is.
Right, but how come every time you change it, the bylaw has to go and has to be on a warrant, and it goes before the body?
That's a zoning change.
Zoning or planning. Planning board, if they want to change anything, then has to go to the town.
Well, let me ask a question.
Well, let
Town meeting.
I mean, but it's my understanding now, I'll get there. My understanding that what you're talking about is a zoning change, either a ZBA sponsored article that the Board of Selectmen put on the warrant, or one that the planning board puts on, or one of the, whoever puts it on. But zoning changes have to be done at the town meeting. Master plan's not a zoning change. Planning board, it spells out in the law.
Why don't you give us a couple of examples of master plan, couple of
It's
examples?
very old, isn't it? It was drafted quite a number, like 20 years ago, isn't that right?
1998, there was a version done, but it was updated 18 months ago.
Richard, why don't you give us a couple of examples of the 100 pages?
I don't
Couple
know
of
how-
example
I
of.
think I was on that committee. I don't
For
think it
instance,
was
like
much-
roads, schools, sewer, recreational, senior citizen, like couple of examples so we know what we're talking about.
I don't want,
My question is,
I will.
is the master plan the town charter, or is the town charter what we go by? What authority does the master plan have? Or is it just a nice little assembly of information?
Didn't it come about as just like another town committee that was put together to help come up with this master plan back in the late 90s? And then it kind of sat on the shelf until it was revisited recently?
I'm wondering if you have, you want to see some examples of the master plan? Let me go to another presentation, because
I don't know what the open space committee is.
I mean, this town has too many committees, that's
I'm
one
like,
thing I've
they got
noticed.
more
It's
committees
like-
here than they got
I was
Boston.
thinking not enough.
The
I saw some
cemetery
blank
committee.
spaces on that chart.
We're in downtown Boston, we ain't got that many committees.
Huh?
Every town has that many.
No.
No, they don't.
And you have to pay $750 and go to every one of them committees if you want to groom a dog in a 350 square foot room.
But the square footage, you know, we could drop it.
But
Are you doing the grooming for free?
Huh?
Or are you charging?
$35. You know how many dogs you have to groom for $35?
Well, maybe you should get in the construction business.
Maybe we should let the contractors groom a few dogs.
One of the things that happened,
You get them to pay what you need them to pay. I don't pay 35.
one of the things that happened with
Why
this,
just get a mobile dog grooming business and bypass?
I'm not champion pet grooming by
Or you
any
get the
means.
ones that, when you go to feed them, I just go to
Let's
Home
concentrate a
Depot
little bit. Ken, you wanted to
and
say
get the
something?
double D
he's got
batteries.
to mess one up, wait, let him talk about it.
We're letting him have.
I don't want to take all
I
your
know.
time. This is a
No.
long presentation. I'm just going to go to some couple key points.
Yeah.
All right? First of all, let's go through the history of it. It was created by Serped. It was built off existing documents, and you can see them here. The 1998 master plan. You can read them yourself. There was public workshops. There was online participation via surveys and social media, open houses. It was Ken shared it with different Wareham agencies, and the final version was published on 4/3. I think that's what you were probably referring to, Najee, before. So what's in it? This is what's in the master plan. So, Jim, I think you asked the question, how does this work with the charter and everything?
What authority, you know, yeah, exactly.
It has no authority, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah.
Their aspirations.
What?
Aspirations.
I call it a wish list.
It's a wish list, yeah, it's
That's
a honey-do list. It's not even a honey-do list.
That's my,
Yeah, because that never gets done.
but the goal of it
My letter to Santa.
is to say, our town, we agree, this is our wish list. That's how it goes. Doesn't get into the details of how much, when, who's gonna do it. No, it just said, these are the things we want to do. And I'll show you some examples. It gets very much into land use. I'm gonna go past this here and get into, there's 7 categories that are absolutely required by state law. And, I'm sorry, 8 categories. Land use, economic development, service and facilities, stewardship and service, transportation and circulation, housing, open space, and natural and cultural resources. If you go to, is it chapter 41?
41.
Chapter 41 in the Mass General Laws, it calls out, you have to have a master plan.
48? 48?
41.
48 zoning.
Oh, 40, okay.
You have to have a master plan that has these categories in it with implementation suggestions, and it's owned by the planning board.
Okay.
And the planning board owns updating and changing it as well.
Yeah.
So stewardship and service,
I'll get there.
okay.
Our current master plan has 20 goals.
The mic, he wants to hear you. Just turn the mic to you so he wants to hear.
Stand the mic up.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Our current master plan has 20 goals identified in those 8 categories. And in those goals are 57 total strategies, 52 unique, as I talked about before. And each strategy includes a description, suggested responsible parties, and performance measures. So here's one. Land use goal number 1, focus redevelopment improvements to Wareham Village and Onset Village. And here's one of the 57 strategies. Invest in CDBG money, implement our vacant and underutilized property survey, and look at zoning techniques that allow us to get rid of derelict properties. Just an example. We can go through this, we can schedule another time to go through the whole thing.
No, that's fine. Well, Richard, let me ask you a question.
Sure.
I'm sure we all love these wishes. The question is, how you gonna gather so many people to meet? Well, we had a hard time get people to attend it's not important, but decision boards, we had a hard time to fill up members, and we're always struggling to get members.
I
So the
understand.
question is, how many people in the board has to be, the Congress, how many people?
How many?
Yeah, how many people in that Congress?
Best case 28, worst case 5.
It's volunteer?
Yeah.
Be a representative. I'm gonna look to this
No,
board
it pays
for,
10,000 hearing.
No, I mean, yeah, right. That was a tough question.
Volunteer, of course,
Well,
volunteer.
no, I mean, the Board of
by the minute.
Selectmen volunteer to be elected, or, get elected to do a job for free,
So again, Richard, so let's say you get a board of 10 people,
yeah,
and those people agrees on the wishes?
I think it's sworn
let me
in.
get there, okay?
Jen, can just, let's get it going and get it over with.
I got a slide that talks to that, all right?
Okay.
But,
No, seriously though, is it someone, people from, who have already been appointed to boards?
Right, he wants from each board at least
I'm
one
gonna
person
look-
if he can.
if I can make this happen, if I don't crash and burn before I get through this proposal process, I'm gonna look to this board for a representative. 1. If you want to send 2, then I'll take what I can get.
Right.
Right? So,
One and alternate.
lost my place. There it is. So, this just tells me so much, this diagram. 28 agencies in our town, going in 28 different directions. How can we get them all going the same way? I think the master plan is the key to get ourselves locked in on some common goals. And what I foresee right now on this meeting, and you're right, I mean, this is gonna be hard. And it's gonna be me driving, it's gonna be me getting someone on this board to work hard with me to make it happen, someone from the redevelopment authority, the board of selectmen, and that's gonna take, it may not happen, but I think it's worth a shot, and that's why I'm here. So, here's how I see this meeting goes initially. We ask every agency to go through the master plan and check alignment. Are you as a board or an agency going this way where the master plan's going this way? Or do you find conflict? Or do you find objectives that you have that aren't even mentioned in the master plan? Let's identify the misses that we have. Then of the strategies that are in there, what are the priorities? The way I see that going down, I'd love to see a big online survey with the town and the board members saying, give me your top 5. I collect all this information and I score it, and I can come back and say, this is where our town wants us to focus. Here are the top 3, here's the top 5, whatever it is. But with that data, that would be incredibly telling. If we can come up with my 3 to go execute, we find owners for them. And it have to be in my perfect world, it's multiple people across multiple agencies. And then we start implementing. We go find the time, the people, the money, whatever it is we need to go do it. Maybe we win, maybe we don't. Maybe we crash, maybe we don't crash. I'm not sure. But I think we need to try. And we talk about master plan changes and updates. There's several people I've talked to that think the master plan should be locked in stone for 10 years. And we review it every 10 years, kind of like the charter. I believe it's dynamic and fluid and should be updated at the drop of a hat with a proper process. So, I didn't say that right. It shouldn't be updated at the drop of a hat. There should be a process to bring new ideas forward and get them in the master plan without having to jump through hoops. That might be a better way. So how do we make it happen? We have to, 1, get an approved master plan. Now, the planning board right now knows they own it. We've had 2 special meetings where we only talked about the master plan. We have, as a group, reviewed all 57 of those strategies in the 20 goal categories under the 8 objectives. I need a commitment from all the agencies to be part of it. I need performance measures. I need the people that get assigned to this Congress to be empowered by their boards to make decisions and to be held accountable. And the most important thing is this agency that I'm trying to call a Congress needs to be fully transparent. So, next steps. This is my last slide. Solicit Congress proposal from all the town agencies. I'm going to do the Finance Committee one-on-one later this month. Then I'm going to hold a public session in the auditorium, invite all the other 20 agencies to come and listen, as well as the public. I might hold 2 of those. Get their feedback. And then implement. And at the same time, as I mentioned, get this master plan reviewed, and the planning board to approve it, and then come up with a plan probably to take it to town meeting as, can you remember what the recommendation was it wasn't a referendum, it was a concurrence article, or?
Oh, it'd be a report to town meeting and a approval of the report.
Yeah, not so much. I'm very worried about going to town meeting and ask town meeting to approve 57 goals. I think it'll be a mess. It'll be a total mess. But either we go in at a very high level, or we say, we have done this, and we're here at the town meeting to let you know that we've done it, and we want your blessing that we did it. Somewhere along there. I don't know what the answer is yet. So, that's what I have. It's a lot for you to take in. I have handouts for you that you can look at. I would ask that you spend a few brain cells and think about what I'm talking about, and then maybe as a group, give me some feedback. I'm dying for some. The Conservation Commission didn't have any feedback, but they are on board, and they have assigned a representative. Haven't heard anything from the selectmen yet.
Richard, let me ask you a question. For instance, out of those 57 wishes you have, I'm sure you have a wish to have a senior citizen center, maybe? For instance.
No, it's not in there.
Okay, wish to make a bigger library.
To maintain and improve the library.
Okay. All right, let's say this is, okay, so you say you want to maintain and improve the library. I'm sure everyone here would agree to this, and I'm sure every other agency in town will agree. So how does it do you any good? All where we're gonna go, or if one of us go to that Congress, he's gonna say, of course I would like a bigger library and better library. So how does that help you?
It's about implementation, right? You're trying to implement these
Right.
things.
In the case of the library example, I don't think it's a good one. Let me give you a better one.
Okay, let's do like weird one.
Come up with zoning. One of the objectives is to come up with zoning ideas to help the town manage and control and get rid of derelict and dilapidated buildings.
We do have something in place, and it's not easy to get rid of, what do you show, when you put the X on it, what do you call it? Condemn a building. There's a lot of legal paperwork to go through this, and it costs the town a lot of money to condemn it and take it over, which they do. So, for instance, you come to us, of course we want to do this, but how are we helping? So you come to ask us to do this, we say, of course. We all don't want dilapidated building.
I think it's a designating someone to sit with all of these members of these other boards to put plans in action and think them through and come up with ways to make them happen.
But
So
I'm playing the
understand.
devil's advocate here.
Yes,
But-
yes.
but-
I'm saying
If we as a board know that the town wants better buildings and getting rid of old buildings, if somebody came in front of us and wanted to tear two houses down and build a nicer one in their place, we'd know that's part of the master plan, and we'd say yes.
Am I understanding your
Which we do.
vision correctly? Am I understanding what your vision is correctly?
Let me put my spin on it, in the case of the derelict and abandoned buildings.
Yeah.
You said it perfectly. It's hard to take legal action as a town to get rid of those buildings. So maybe our town needs different zoning and different laws to make it easier to get it done.
How about incentives?
Exactly.
That's another one. But this is where I see people on this Congress getting together and saying, we're taking on the derelict building problem, and we're going to go do a subcommittee, or whatever you want to call it, but we're going to go talk to people and figure out what it is we need to do. We're going to go do investigation. We're going to go find out, why are these buildings there in the first place? Why aren't they being torn down and razed? Why aren't they being rehabilitated and rented? Talk to the property owners. What are the issues? What can the town do to make it easier for you to make this property look nice?
Money.
Of course.
I could answer your question.
I already know the
About
answers
properties.
to, of course.
Repercussions for not doing nothing to your property.
Pardon me?
See, like in the city, it's different.
Yeah.
You can,
Right.
you know, there's no repercussions for an owner, so.
No, there are
cares if my
repercussions to
house
tearing a
sits
building down if you're gonna lose the footprint. So you leave the shithole standing there because you got a footprint that you can build on
The zoning
in the
has changed.
future. You tear it down, you've lost the
Well,
footprint.
yeah, but the footprint, does it include the structure or does it include the foundation? Because you can make a building,
Don't-
take it down and leave the foundation,
Just leave it there and don't do anything, you've still got it.
You can't, no, once you
but
tear
there's
it down.
no.
Once you tear it
but
down, it's
there's-
gone. I mean, that's,
So we just kind of just dove down into the implementation mode, you know, but this is the kind of discussion that I think, if we had a planning board guy, a ZBA guy, a redevelopment guy, sitting in a room, maybe with the Conservation Commission, you know, and start talking about what do we need to do as incentives? I love that word, incentives. How does this town incentivize property owners to make this town look nicer? There's tons of ways we could do it. We just got to come up with some that work. But we need to have some people that are signed up to go take on that task, and we don't have those people right now. But if we had, I know I'm out tilting at windmills. I know I am, but this is where I'm going. So, did I answer your question?
I do understand. Just to answer, for instance, what Jim's saying, incentive, tear it down, you still have the right. This is protected by the what they call abandonment. This is like a mass general laws, whether here or Duxbury or any town. Once you abandon it for 2 years, you abandon. The town cannot make it any better. Even if they make a bylaw, I believe, I'm pretty sure, unless, for instance, let's say the zoning's 5,000 and make it, okay, if it's 3,000, you could make it still buildable or whatever. Tearing down a building, abandonment's abandonment. I believe it's a state law, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and it's also referenced in our zoning bylaws. But this whole idea of incentives, where you say, why is this one going derelict? Why is it falling apart? Why isn't it torn down?
Right.
And why isn't it rebuilt? And it could be because of environmental issues. If it's environmental issues, you go out and get an assessment grant from the feds and do the environmental work, or get money from the redevelopment agency of the state, Mass Development, to tear down the building to clean up underneath. And that's just to get it into a rebuildable condition. To incentivize the redevelopment, then you put in zoning in place that says you can increase the density, you can go up a little bit more, you can make a little bit more valuable use of the site than it is now.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And that's how you get the incentives to redevelop the properties.
And the person, if he can't afford it, now he could sell it for someone to develop.
The problem is there's no centralized way to go about implementing and taking a closer look at these particular items in the master plan. So I support what you're proposing here.
Sounds like you're signing up to be on my.
I'm not signing up, but I support the,
question, who wants to sign up?
Amend your initiative.
Walter.
I'm just an associate.
You could sign
Doesn't
up.
matter.
Well, we'll give you something to do.
I'm out there. I got enough to do.
Richard, I made some
traffic
notes.
for 2.5 hours.
You wanted some feedback. I got three
back
points
here.
I wanted to make.
I think Veronica would be really good at it.
Yes.
I really do.
And you're right
I
here.
mean that genuinely.
You're right up the street, you know? You're
I
okay.
think you would.
All right, Jim, let's hear it.
I have 3 points
Second
that I
that.
picked up on what was said tonight. One, as far as being chaired by the planning board, I think I would recommend that the planning board not be the sole chair, and that it either be chaired by different boards, or that a whole separate entity become the moderator chair or something.
Or a member
The
from
perspe-
each
the
board.
perception
the
being that
prominent boards.
if the planning board has an agenda, they're gonna carry it through to this, whereas if there was a separate, enough on that.
I hear you.
Okay, enough on that. Current board members, every board in the town, when we become a member of the board, we have to sign a piece of paper and lie like hell and say we'll be ethical, okay? Why can't we sign a piece of paper that says we have read the current master plan and understand it? If we were just required to sit down and read it from beginning to end, and then sign a document that we've read it, we'd have an idea of what the master, I have no clue what those 57 things are. If I just read the whole document, I'd be part of the plan, because I'd know what the town wants to do.
Still wouldn't solve it.
And then as far as it going in front of the town, if you want to bring 57 goals to a town meeting, I suggest you have a special town meeting and you make it 57 separate votes, so that some of it can be voted yes and some of it can be voted no, but all of it won't go no. That's my thoughts.
I do agree with Jim. These are very valid thoughts. Or you could go to the town meeting every 6 months was a couple
Well,
of.
if you go with 57 as one vote, you're not
Well,
gonna
I
get
think
it
that
through.
Ken had proposed a way that you wouldn't be voting on each, didn't you?
Yes, that's
Yeah, there's-
exactly right.
There's a mechanism for presenting it so that it's not approving each one individually. So,
Because that can go into way too much discussion, and essentially you're rewriting the master plan again.
Yeah,
In front of
that's why I was
300
trying to-
people instead
yeah.
of,
Right, okay, but to give Richard something, everybody thinks about it, sleep on it, and hopefully next meeting,
Sleep on it for 2
we'll
weeks.
give Richard something,
Yeah.
who's of us. Now, Richard, how long does Congress gonna meet? Every 1 month, 2 months?
Totally, every 3 months.
Every 3 months, I'm gonna start,
One meeting, like at night?
yeah, something like that. That's,
All right.
I haven't started thinking that
Next
far ahead in
meeting-
detail.
What's the next meeting? I don't know.
For us?
26th, the
2 weeks,
26th.
26, right?
26. So by the 26th, please, everybody give it some thoughts, who would ever
Yeah.
like to be in
26, the
that.
day after Christmas?
No,
the day before Thanksgiving.
oh, we're not meeting.
You're
No,
getting,
no, the next ZBA meeting.
we don't meet in 2 weeks?
The
No, we said
Thanksgiving,
we
we're all
weren't
gonna be
gonna,
sitting
right?
here having
Gonna.
turkey.
We said we weren't gonna come.
Hold on 1 second.
I can tell you all.
Oh, remember,
I
we
won't
said
see
we're
you-
not meeting the day before Thanksgiving. We already voted on this
That's the
long time ago.
27th? Whoa.
So next meeting on December 11. Okay, so remember, day before Thanksgiving, there's no meeting. Jen,
Okay.
Walter, no meeting day before
So
Thanksgiving.
he'll call you like next, next
Don't
week
call me
and say
say
I'm
you
gonna be
can't
late?
make it, like last time.
So then our next meeting is the 11th of
The
December.
11th.
Said, I ain't gonna be on the
So
boat.
everybody
I
thinks
said, oh, okay.
to
I'll
give
be there.
Richard an answer, and hopefully one of us can attend.
I get 2 minutes.
Is that good enough, Rich?
That would be just awesome.
All right, very well. Anything you guys want to add before we adjourn?
Just give it to Ken and tell him.
Oh, the minutes, let's go back to the minutes. What you want to do with the minutes?
Yeah.
I motion to approve both as presented.
Do I have a second? All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye, oppose, abstain. Already signed it.
Do we have to end the meeting? We just did.
You did.
What's the matter?
Yeah.
Did you see me just sign them just
I know,
now?
what is it with these chairs? They make you just like, they
Can we have a motion to adjourn?
make your elbows go back.
Do I have a second?
I was like.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, oppose, abstain. Thank you, thanks, Bob. Thank you, have a good evening.